Hi, my name is Nine Craig and I'm an aerospace engineer. Welcome to the World of Physics at WOMAD 2020. WOMAD is all about bringing all aspects of the culture together. What we like to do is bridge science, technology, and music, so it's natural that we have a home in the world of physics. Music is an arranged form of sound. Sound is created when particles vibrate through a medium like air, and these vibrations send waves of energy into our ears. These waves can be very complex, but they can be decomposed into simple sine and cosine waveforms, much like the waveforms or sine and cosine functions that you learned about in school. This allows you to sample and mix up sounds, and this is what we do using a lot of fancy electronics. These electronics use physical principles like quantum mechanics and electromagnetism to operate. And the other thing you need to add is art, because you gotta make it sound good. We've invited British band Earlybird to talk about how they created the sounds for their latest track, Late Again. Over to you guys.
Hi, we're Earlybird. We're a three-piece electronic band from Leamington Spa in the UK. And we're putting together this little kind of discussion about one of our live tracks that we did earlier this year when public performance was normal and allowed. Cool. So what we're going to do is talk through the setup that we use as a band, and kind of look at some of the challenges that we've encountered. Some of them were expected, some of them maybe not so much, by choosing to kind of work in the way that we do. And then we'll, just kind of walk through the song and kind of point out the bits that we might have already been talking about. So I think that's pretty much what we're going to do.
Yeah, so a key part of the setup is that everything's kind of connected with clock and with the MIDI thing to make sure everything's in sync. So MIDI is this way that electronic instruments can talk to each other. Like it doesn't matter what manufacturer they come from; they all speak the same language. And you have one thing which is the master. So we have the drum machine, which is the Roland TR8S on the diagram here, which is the master, and it basically controls everything. You hit start on this, everything starts. To keep things in sync. So the drum machine is kind of the beating heart of the synchronization, and then everything else kind of flows on from that. You got there's a digatone, which is a FM synth. Put some more details about FM synthesis in the link below, because it's a really fascinating method of synthesis. And but then that passes on this kind of clock information and also some note information onto onto other instruments like the Volca bass, which is there to give the analog synth gives a real gutsy, sort of almost dirty sort of bass sound.
Yeah, so I take MIDI clock in from John's stuff into my MIDI hub, which is it's basically like a patch bay. It can take various MIDI inputs and send them out in wherever I want. So I have three things going into that. I've got the clock coming from John. I've got MIDI coming from Andy's keyboard, and also MIDI from my floorboard, so that I can make MIDI changes while I am playing guitar or bass. And then that's distributed to three things. So one is my synth, which is a Roland JDXI, and that's a multi-timbral synth, which means it can play lots of voices at the same time, and that has an analog engine and a digital sample-based engine in it as well. Also, the MIDI goes to my looper, which I use to loop guitar and bass parts so that they are repeated through, and I can put my guitar down and play other things. And also to an effects unit, which is a Korg KP3 Chaos Pad, which Andy's voice is fed into, and so I can manipulate and affect Andy's voice through that as well.
So this is a song called Late Again from a performance we did at Temperance in Leamington Spa. So, what's going on there?
Well, you can see the first two mistakes come right there at the beginning. So, can I start things off with the drum machine? But I'd forgotten to mute a few of the parts of the thing there. So there's actually some more drum parts that in there than should have been in that pattern. But I press play, and what that's doing is it's everything's now in sync. They're kind of playing. So you've got the drum machine, which is there, and then there's the kind of that helicoptery drone sound, which kind of comes in from the Digitone FM synth. With then the plucky sound is also coming in from that, and that kind of like just sets off that just that first little intro part, and then the pads come in from being played by Andy on the keyboard there, but actually the sound's coming from Ben, and is the JDXI synth.
And then the guitar enters.
Yeah, then the guitar comes in. So the guitar is I'm just playing a really simple part. Really, it's just triplets through a dotted quaver delay, and it and then I loop that, which I don't think you quite captured there. That it's been looped, but that's then looped, and I bring that in and out throughout the whole song.
Ben, you're leaving at that point.
Yeah, that's me done for the
You're
song.
done.
Ben, go to the bar. Yeah.
I really like that part of the performance part, actually, because it's like a real kind of like you can physically see the guitar coming off, and the guitar's still playing. I think it's a really cool little kind of indicator that there's something complex going on here. I love it.
Yeah. So arpeggiator there is that's the analog side of the JDXI synth, and that's just fifths over a couple of octaves, and then I start it off with the filter completely closed, so it's cutting out all the frequencies, and then I bring up the low pass filter with a foot pedal, which I then again can vary throughout the song, even when I'm playing things with my hands. So and it gives me a chance to prepare to play the next guitar loop, which comes in as the synth kind of sweeps up, and although it's all clocked together, that second guitar loop is actually I think it's a quarter of the time of the first one. So So it means I can play, because it's a very short part, I can play it very quickly and get it looped very quickly and put
I
my
suppose
guitar.
that was another one of the challenges, wasn't it, when you're kind of creating songs, because that was a decision to sort of turn these songs into Earlybird tracks, and that kind of is a process of not boring people. So getting from one thing to the next as fast as you possibly can, without kind of losing any of the essence of what you're doing as well. So.
Master of surveillance, your shadow fell into a hole of non-existence. Wish that I could fly like the crow does. I tap the glass when it cracks, I fade into dust. Where did you go this time? Where have you gone? When you were late home last night, what really went on? Where did you go this time? Where have you gone? When you were late home last night,
Yeah, so now you've got a bass in your hand.
I've got a bass in my hand, yeah. So that's the fun thing about looping, is you can play more than one instrument. We kind of drop out most things, don't we, for that verse? So the pads come out, and the guitars come out, and we go quite sort of percussive for that first bit of the verse, and then
which was kind of that was a challenge that we're trying to work out how to bring the intensity that you get from an acoustic drum kit in those sorts of things, to get that intensity in that verse, with those constraints was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and it's one of those cases where it's a sort of a less is more to bring out the intensity on those sort of things there. So in cutting everything else out, and it's basically running the drums through an overdrive circuit. You just there's a bit of bit crushing going on there as well. You just sort of it's just the effects draw some energy. It's what we're attempting to do anyway. It's one of the really nice things about playing with electronic stuff, like, because it's just one thing, like, everything's going to come in bang on time, but you've also got going to be in sync with, it's about Andy playing the part on the piano and things to get it all in at the same time. So actually the communication of that now is is kind of tricky as well. So it worked. It was good.
Yeah, so the arp's kind of holding the tempo there, isn't it? Because that doesn't drop out. and that's not going to change when you press start. So you have to come in time with that, otherwise it's going to go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
You also heard there the chaos pad. So Andy's voice, as we went into the big sort of drop there, it was that was Andy's voice feeding through to the chaos pad, which is then looping just a small chunk of it, and then I can play about with how long that loop is, actually with another foot pedal, or with the pad on the chaos pad. So we're able to sort of mangle Andy's voice a bit. It's quite fun.
Very fun. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the other things that are going, I'm not sure if you can hear it kind of very well, but the bass synth in the bottom is actually it's going through a sidechain compressor from the drum machine. So every time the kick drum hits, the volume of the bass is just reduced a little bit, and then it sort of comes in, which gives that kind of slight kind of wobble and a bit of energy in the things there. And it's a technique used in lots of kind of dance music to give that energy and a bit of bounce.
And that, again, when we were producing it, that was like a real breakthrough moment, coming up with that as the way to add that intensity to that bit, because it was a challenge, wasn't it, to get it sounding. It was often sounding not like it needed to sound, but it was hard to describe how it needed to sound, and then it was that sidechain compression that was then I think this is it, like that.
Yeah, so I think one of we kind of make it a bit more natural there with because the again, like with the bass in the second verse, the guitar, I'm not looping anything, I'm just playing over the top, which means I can add some variation, which then just gives it a bit of a more natural feel to it. I guess that is one of the big challenges of electronic music, isn't it? Is maintaining a natural, organic feel to the sound, and not just having it very flat all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah. But John, your glitchy beats in that bit help with that as well.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. It's just there's a feature on Drum Machine just a beat repeat, and that's. And you just basically hold down a step and it'll just repeat that one step. It's another kind of feature from a lot of electronic dance music, of like that repeated beat sort of thing, like sort of stutter and things is there, which you can kind of bring into this as well. Just kind of, it's nice.
Beautiful. Great. Well, yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or, nice things to say, then leave a comment below. Find us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, all the usual places. And our website, earlybirdband.com. Goodbye.